we're very excited about those games, and we'll definitely keep you posted on that here on Ravens Hockey Live. But for now, we're going to tee up our weekend games. So this weekend, the men's team gets right into it and plays Ottawa U on Friday night at the Ice House, 7 p.m. They stayed loose over the break with 2 exhibition games, both big wins over Waterloo and Guelph, even though, I mean, big isn't really a great word since they didn't count. But the players to watch here are Luke Blaine, who has 36 points in 17 games, Kyle Ireland, who has the same 36 points in 17 games, and Matthew Methode, who has 29 points in 17 games for Ottawa U. They have 3 top scorers, and Ottawa U is 2 points behind Carleton for second place in the OUA, or for third place, sorry, in the OUA division. What do you guys think? Will Carleton come out on top of their game this week?
It's a pretty big game to come out on top of, and one thing I think they have going for them is their play of Joe Foucatus right now. And, he had a really good first half of the year, and he was starting to get better and better. He got nicked up a little bit at the beginning of the year. He seemed to get his legs towards the end of the last semester, and he had a hat trick against Guelph in an exhibition game on Sunday afternoon against Guelph here at the Ice House. So I think, I really think Carleton's going to come out flying just because I think some of the talent they've recruited are going to start to get their legs. I think you're going to see a bit of Yves Bastien, who's a really good penalty killer, kind of an energy guy for this team. Maybe we'll give some third or fourth line scoring. I think this is going to be an improved Carleton team from the first semester. Last year they started off hot. I think they were on a 4 or 5 game winning streak right out of the break. And I think this is an important one. Ottawa U's right behind them in the standings. They've got to win this, and I think based on how they played Ottawa U this season, they should be able to win this game.
Yeah, I hope they're ready to step in and be an improvement because they've got such a tougher schedule, a much more difficult run in the second half, and they're going to have to be playing a lot better than they have been, especially in the first half of the season. Now, certainly they played very well in the first half, but they had some letdowns, as we can all agree. They had a couple, especially against Lakehead. I think it was Lakehead. They lost the back-to-back games in Thunder Bay. That was very disappointing. And every time it seems they've had a chance to get a big streak going and really move up in the rankings, they come out and disappoint. Now with a lot of teams, well, they're going to be playing McGill a few times, and there's really no room for that. The games that they're supposed to be winning against the weaker teams, especially at home in their own building, they have to win. And this week is an example of where that has to start. You don't know how teams are going to come out after the break. It's a long break, and both teams have been trying to stay fresh during that. Marty Johnston is a very good coach, it seems, so far from his time here and his time as an assistant coach. This is where he is going to be tested. He's been through this many times before. It's his first time as a head coach, but he's been here as an assistant coach
and a player.
And it's not something that you go through in the OHL. And in other leagues. This is something that's really unique to CIS hockey. So it is going to be interesting to see how they deal with this and how Ottawa U deals with this. But coming out with this big game and a big win, this is huge. This sets the tone for the second half.
I agree. A pretty important game this weekend against Ottawa U. Now the women's team goes on the road this weekend. One game against Ottawa U on Saturday, and another game against Université de Montréal on Sunday. The women are trying to break a 7-game losing streak ever since that 2-0 start to the year, and they are 1 point behind Ottawa U. So just as an important game for the women as it is for the men against Ottawa U this weekend. Once again, the women can make the playoffs if they pull ahead of Ottawa U or Université de Montréal. Université de Montréal is 6 points ahead of them. Ottawa U is 1 point ahead of them in the standings. The women have been on break too, guys. How do you think they come out?
Well, I don't know. I'm not too sure how they come out. It's really 2 tough road games right off the bat, but it's plain and simple for the women this weekend. You've got to win. These are 4-point hockey games. If you lose to Ottawa U, you're 3 points behind in last place of a playoff spot with 10 games to go. It's going to be tough to make up some ground, especially knowing you got to play McGill again. You lose to University of Montreal, you're now 8 points behind them, and that is a deficit that is really hard to overcome, especially when you're running out of games to play these teams. Like, they're not playing UDEM that much more this season. You have to win these hockey games. You cannot fall behind the pack, and that is what is at risk this Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m., at Ottawa U?
Well, for me, there's really no more excuses for this team. I mean, we have been trying to make excuses, and we have been sticking up for them a little bit because they do have a lot of new faces. They are in a tough division. They have been doing a lot of traveling, a lot of playing against teams like McGill. But now they're playing Ottawa. They've shown they can beat University of Ottawa. It's a road game, but it's not a road game because they're not really traveling. They're close to home. And they're going to get some Carleton fans out there in red cheering for them. The Red Zone usually does a fairly good job of representing, at least in our crosstown rivalries. So, yeah, it's exciting, but it really is time for them to step up, and that's why I think the pressure is on the women a lot more than it's on the men to come through the big win this weekend. The women have to win one game, and there's no better way to start than against their rivals.
Hey, and if you can't make it out to the games this weekend and you want to see how they do, you can stream all of these games online at ssnsports.ca. That's Streaming Sports Network. You can Google it. Just remember that name, Streaming Sports Network. You know, it's a great, great tool to have to be a university hockey fan. You can catch all the games on there. You know, you can we've watched a couple road games on there. That is what you've got to use if you want to be up to date with all your Carleton Ravens hockey information.
Yeah, and also check in online. We've got our website. I think Mitch was just going to say that. I think I cut him off there. He's giving me a threatening look.
Don't worry.
What's ravenshockeylive.com?
WordPress.com?
ravenshockeylive.wordpress.com.
Or just Google us,
Ravens Hockey Live. It'll be the first thing that comes up. Usually we'll weigh in with our thoughts after the game. We'll also have clips and interviews from after the game, pretty soon after the game that you might not hear on the show. And we'll also have our past shows on here. So definitely check that out. Mitch?
Thanks for listening, guys. Next week we should be back with an hour show, I believe. We'll be starting at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. if everything goes right, because we'd love to talk to you for longer. And go Ravens.
We all love to get up early.
And then in your hour bedtime routine, you can just stream it online at our website, as you mentioned, and you can listen to my sweet, dulcet tones going to bed. So wherever you're listening, if you're listening online, I say good morning, good afternoon,
or good night.
Good night.
That's from the Truman Show. You stole the Truman Show's going offline, Eric. Don't listen to him. Listen to me.
And expect a lawsuit.
All right. Well, this has been Ravens Hockey Live. We'll see you all next week.
Provisional President Omar al-Bashir is aligned to the capital of South Sudan ahead of the referendum on independence for the South to be held next week. Mr. Bashir is meeting the president of the semi-autonomous South, Salva Kiir, to discuss outstanding issues if, as expected, South Sudan votes for separation. Will Ross saw President Bashir's arrival.